So, as you can see, I've prepared some colors for painting his cape. I will continue with my idea of putting some Warlock purple into the shadows and into all the surfaces of the cape that are lower on the miniature. I will use a black color from Chimera Colors. Also, then I will highlight it a little with additions of brown. So that's why I've chosen this grey-brown color called Petroleum Grey from Scale. And then I will add some additions of blue just for the highlights, just to reflect the light source reflecting for a silky surface, and some white. So let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is to modify the shadows with the magenta Warlock purple color. So here you can see that I started to sketch it earlier on, but we can just add more. Most of the time when painting something black, you don't want to paint it just black. We want to use a different set of colors. Often I use additions of brown, I use additions of blue, sometimes colors like this one. You can experiment, even with green, it's okay, but it's important to just pick those colors that will work in the general composition of the miniature. So just have this in mind. And also we can start working on the transition from the purple color to black. So all the surfaces lower on the miniature should be just transitioning to this color. If you do it fast, sometimes the paint won't be that dry on the miniature, but that's also okay because we can wet blend just a little. Also for larger surfaces, just use a larger brush. It will speed things up. So you can see that it's blended just perfectly, and then we can just add more black. can go back just a little with the transition, back and forth through white and black, to the black and the mixture of black and Warlock purple. And so here we can just paint some lines of separation through the elements. You can outline just a little of the cape and where it combines with the bone. Even higher up on some tips of the material, if you leave a little of the purple color, then it will look also cool and in place. So here higher on his head, can add some spots of it. Okay, so you can see that I'm slowly covering the surface with mixtures of color. So now we want to focus on the higher parts that should be more gray. The trick on painting black is that you want to leave as much of the surface as black as you can, or even dark, and just add small highlights of gray. You don't want the whole cape or this whole surface just look gray. just a little more on the end of this tattered cloth. It's not needed just to edge highlight the whole cape. Yeah, we can do it, of course. We can do it at the end. We can add some edges, but even here, yeah, like this one. But at this point, we just are focusing on the whole shape of the folds. Then at the end, we can add small transitioning edges. Just not to overdo it, but just to show the general shape of the tattered cloth. Yeah, something like this. And you can see that it adds more definition, yeah, but in this place, at this stage, we are focusing only on blending the surface. So let's do more of it. Sometimes it's even easier to separate the miniature in the front view of it and the back view. At this stage it's also cool to just cover the whole outer cover. We know where it was, but cover it with some gray tones. On a ghost like this one, we can also leave some brush strokes, just small lines like this one. Yeah, just don't paint with the side of the brush, you can paint with the tip, and it will leave some marks of the brush stroke, but it will generate a texture of a worn material. And this will also add a cool detail. So as you can see, now I'm covering the surface of the sketch with the warm grey color, but it will help me to make all the highlights that I'm painting more visible. So sometimes we don't want a surface that is interrupting how we perceive it. For me, it's better to just see at something dark, but we will see the general shape of the folds. I can accent them with shadows, and it will be easier. Yeah. Okay, so let's focus on the front. I think it dried. So you can see that mostly the miniature is black right now. We can accent some shadows because we overpainted them with the warm grey color. Of course, it wasn't also that bright, so it looks like just it's dark. And then we can add some very delicate shades of the purple just to modulate. Maybe just fix the black color just a little. Okay. So it's worth giving, as I mentioned earlier, it's worth adding some different colors to black. Normally when you paint something pure black, pure grey, it generates a hole in the whole composition. It's just black, just grey without the color. And if you add many different colors to the miniature, the elements would not fit that well. So if you have some ideas for the base, you can add some colors of the base to the black, or even some colors of the elements that are close to it, just to modulate, just to make it look more like a part of the miniature. Okay. So now let's start highlighting just a little. You can do this, as mentioned earlier, with just brush strokes. So we want to leave some marks. For this one I want to just leave lines like this. Something like this, because it will add a feeling of the whole cloak being worn. So just align the brush strokes in only one direction. Just paint in only one direction of the brush stroke. You can separate the brush strokes to different to generate some differences. The points that we want to show the most on this miniature will be his shoulders and his head, so here we'll add more highlights. So those are the surfaces that are closer to the light source that we've chosen. Okay, now let's add more bright colors. So here we don't want to add anything more, but here we want to show the hand, the shape of the hand just being visible under the influencing the alignment of the cape. Yeah, so here we want to extend the highlight just as if we would paint a hand underneath. More highlight his back. We can add some streaks to the lower part. Okay, so you can see that he's getting more brighter, and that's what we want. So here we can also make some decisions. We can keep highlighting him, and this will produce a surface that is maybe the cloak is from silk, so it will reflect more light. So, or we can stop at this point, just like now. You can see that there's also a lot of highlight here, but this will show a more soft surface that isn't reflecting that much light. I think I'm aligning to this side even more, so I'll try just to highlight with this color. You can see that even now that we have a lot of contrast, and I think this will be sufficient. more highlight on his head. Maybe on his head, on the tip of his head, we will add a little more, just something a little brighter, just to focus more attention, but that's all. I think now it's getting very nice. Yeah, so you can see that we have more focus on his head right now, also on his shoulder and his arm, and the rest is just generating a nice background. You can take care of some transitions, maybe some things aren't that smooth, fluid, so we can fix it a little. Just covering some spots. Painting with diluted paint is always a very good thing with acrylics, because they are transparent. If you dilute them, then the layers of paint will be visible from underneath the new one, and we can modulate colors and just blend them.
Skończ tą stronę i robimy przerwę. Chyba chcesz sobie wykończyć całość.
Nie zdążę, nie ma co.
Przejdziemy do metalików.
Dodam jeszcze jeden highlight i potem zrobimy przerwę i zrobimy metaliki. Ok?
Metal byśmy jeszcze tylko dziobnęli i koniec.
So we can see that we can add some small highlights here, just to show the shoulder even more. Maybe here and on his head. So you can see that we have a lot of focus on his head, a lot of focus on his arm, and that's what we wanted to show. So we want to show this part of the miniature. The rest will be just background. And the next thing we can do, we could outline just some more elements of this energy, maybe paint some edge highlights here and there, but I think that's all. Like this one here, just to show some elements, because there are many different surfaces here that are combining and melting together, so we want to show them. Yeah. Here's some edge highlights with brighter colors like this. You can even add more white just to the end of the each part, something like this, just to add more focus, yeah, and more contrast. Okay, and now you can see that we could finish the whole miniature like this, and from it would look coherent. But on the other side, we would want to show this surface, just combining with the arm. So it will be also important, but the rest could be in the background. Yeah. This, so we can see something different, something interesting on the back.